Hey guys, how's it going? We are live again.
Stuart, this is not a normal day at Dog Wild Discovery. What happened?
Picard happened. For sure.
Boy, did Picard happen, Stuart. We're still talking about
Yes.
it, even today. Not literally today, I mean, not now, but edited reviews.
Yes.
And I'll thank the 30,000 people that watched our weekend videos. That's awesome. That's, we appreciate the views for all the hard work put in, etc. And there's more of that to come, so tune in if you want to see more of that stuff. There'll be lots of it.
Make sure you're subscribed and all that. You know the routine, guys.
You do.
So guys, everybody hit that like button. Let's get this show on the road. Talk about 2 Star Treks on at the same time.
Yeah. I just rewatched it a second time, so I rewatched it originally this morning, the first time, and then again just now. As I tend to do, it all kind of shifts around. But I'll start sharing Stuart so we can get right into it. See you in a minute.
Alright. So guys, hit that like button. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Click the notification bell icon to all. If you can super chat, we'd really appreciate it. We want to hear your thoughts on this episode and anything we talked about. If you have anything you want to expand on, we do read all the super chats on the air. So if you're able to, please send a super chat or two. We'd appreciate it. And yeah, so for the next, there's 2 more episodes. So for the next 2 Mondays will be our Discovery reviews. Picard's been moved to Friday, and then on the last episode of Picard, Strange New Worlds will have its first episode, so we'll have Strange New Worlds on Friday. We'll just shift the new shows to the Fridays, and Monday will be the older show. So, but for 2 weeks, Monday is the place to be, the time to be here to talk about Discovery, and yeah. So anyway, there are links down below to the Teespring store, the TeePublic store, Eagle Moss, a whole bunch of cool stuff. Check that stuff out if you're able to. Really appreciate it. Consider joining the channel also. You can get a rank right away. You can help us out on a monthly basis in that manner. So please do so. And yeah, any way you can help us would be greatly appreciated. Just commenting and liking is a huge deal as well. So if that's all you can do, that's cool. Please do so. But yeah. Let's see. Yeah. So anyway, just wait for him to share, and then we'll get on the road with this review. I've already done my first reaction review. My first reaction to these are Friday nights now instead of Thursday nights, because Thursday night will be the Picard reaction with the Picard review on Friday. So, yeah. Welcome everybody. Just make sure when you're coming in that you hit that like button. Really easy way to help us out right away, so please do so. And yeah, anywho, here we go. All right, so yeah,
I'm back, baby.
Rosetta.
I'm not the easiest one to find images to represent it, really.
No, you just see the one I used for my first reaction, similar to yours-ish.
Yep. Yeah, I just tried to put more people in mine if I can, like close-ups. No, it's weird, because it's either 20 minutes in murky dark, or the B-plot, which is just looks like normal Discovery, and this little bit outside, which is visually interesting. So it's kind of hard to summarise this one a little bit. So yes, of course, Stuart, what did you think of Season 4, Episode 11 of Discovery?
It's better than some of the past ones we've seen since returning from the break, but still, just that one plot beat of, oh, there's a planetoid we got to explore. Let's do that. So there was a few missed opportunities in this one, I think, and I don't think they really did a good job of spacing. Well, they could have made the story on the planet a lot more interesting. They could have added an element to it with the Dyson rings as well. Like, there's a lot of things they could have done with this one to make it better. The book and Tarka stuff is overall pretty good as just its own subplot. Not much I would change in that regard, but yeah, the main plot is just a little bit weak in my opinion. And honestly, I've said this before, but this is the point where I don't care now. I don't give a shit about the 10C. They've stretched it out too long. I've lost interest. It doesn't seem like a threat, honestly. So, and they don't seem very concerned with the timeline or the severity of it, because they're just kind of like, yeah, we're just gonna chill. There's no sense of urgency. at all. And I know they tried to do that somewhat with the General from Earth, but didn't quite ring as true as it could have. So I liked it, but it's just a piece of a puzzle. It's not an episode, unfortunately. So yeah, that's kind of where I stand with it. How about you?
Well, I think I'm going to reiterate my guess from 2 episodes earlier that I once again believe that they had a certain script set for season 4. Pandemic happened. They said, "Oh no, we can't really achieve all this with all these. We can barely film, let alone do all this. Let's half it, and then we'll because it's harder to film, more expensive to film. We'll film half the seasons, 1 season, but we'll add character scenes that we'll invent as we go, and we'll do next half of the season 5. Assuming we'll get one, we'll probably get one. It's fine." But by doing that, assuming that's what happened, the amount of story in the season is so minimal that you have to rely on the episodic nature to really kick ass. When that doesn't happen, you're left with an okay. And then double it down with, we've expressed want to have good character stuff for the side crew, etc. When they don't even give us that really, it's like I said, waste opportunities galore. It's a fine episode. It's absolutely fine. There's very little bad it does. It's absolutely fine. But it's not particularly good. It could be a ton better without very much change, or a big rewrite and a lot better. A lot of good potential here, and it's no better on a second watch. If anything, the Tarka stuff's less interesting on a second watch because it's just dull. There's no tension because there's never any tension, but you think something might happen. And Planet stuff is sort of interesting on second watch, but you sort of the mystery is pretty like you see the clues they're putting down early on. It's just not particularly engaging, And we asked this in a poll 2 weeks ago, but it was, would you rather have bad Discovery that's canon breaking, that disrespects the universe, that swears and does weird shit and shows Klingon tits like season 1, but that's really fundamentally bad Star Trek, but it's exciting and interesting to watch, or respecting Trek canon Star Trek, which is fundamentally dull-ish, but at least respects the canon and isn't making those grand plot mistakes. And it's hard at this point to kind of, we don't want the canon mistakes, but, there's just so little story here that it, and I don't know the word padding, but they are definitely not utilizing the bonus time in a useful way. And even something like the scene with the new Asian helper person, like he was meant to be, his introduction was good, they sort of forgot about him, as in this episode, but unless he plays a massive part, it feels like a wasted scene. It doesn't feel like it adds anything except, well, we need a scene with him to justify his paycheck. And even with that, the drama of him being a bit more blunt, who can blame him? This is life or death. We don't need pleasantries in the same way. Like he's not being that much of an arsehole. It's just, scientists are blunt. You bring him on, you know who he is. Like, this is not a surprise. So it could have been 15 minutes shorter and probably a better episode. And that's not a good sign. Where normally we'd ask for more longer episodes, as in
this
for
season
season 1.
Benefited from being 10 episodes, honestly. But
we'll just pack more story in, strange. And certainly compared to Picard, where the pace is really good, the acting's really good, the story's really good, the CG's really good, the pace is so radically different here. It's just very, very. And this is more TNG episode. It is fundamentally, and they do some good Star Trek-y stuff right. But it needs to be shorter, or more interesting stuff happen.
Yep, I'm right there with you on that.
And certainly, this number of episodes in, the thing that will save this season is the ending, is the big payoff, and to have your entire season relying exclusively on the quality of the last 2 episodes. Because every single week for 6, we've said we'll look forward to the next episode and to the end of the season. To reach episode 11 and be like, it's okay, the last 2 needs to save it, that's really bad situation to be in. Because the last 2 aren't the best Discovery ever. The whole season's a wash. Of just like, and if it's a cliffhanger, a real cliffhanger, even worse. Like a proper hard cliffhanger. It's to be so dissatisfying to the audience, and just people just not going to come back for season 5. Like it's such a strong bounce back from season 3, and they've kind of squandered that momentum.
They have, absolutely.
Where are those stories about Reborn Federation, where the story's about all, you can have a DMA story every week, but have Discovery off doing something cool every week for the first 7. And then this last few are the Great Barrier stuff. Have that be the season halfer, we learn the Great Barrier's involved, end of the half the season, and then all those stuff happens. The DMA launches in the last half,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, let's start it, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Start with the captain's log, which is great. She's talking about the hyperfield. Now, before we move any further, one thing I do want to point out, people have mentioned it, and I kind of thought it once. Wouldn't it be interesting if the hyperfield was created by somebody to keep somebody in?
Ooh.
And them trying to get through it is going to be the problem. Maybe they're trying to find the way out with the DMA. They're trying to get enough energy gathered together with the Boronite to punch a hole through this to get out. And Discovery is going to basically release all the prisoners in this.
Okay, also cool. Yeah.
That would be something, but...
Well, yeah, it might well be that they've put so little story into it because they want to be vague, so the twist is a big twist. Very fair. You can't hint at, the Kelpian that blew up the galaxy because there's no potential evidence you can surmise from that. So you can't leave hints that it's like they're secretly prisoners on a colony world that'll be let loose and cause havoc. Like, you can't hint that they're out of the galaxy. So yeah, that'd be interesting. Mm. But then then they can't resolve that in 2. So that's a season 5 set. Then season 4 is a season 5 setup.
That's what's going to happen, though.
Well,
it's going to happen. I guarantee you.
Well, I agree with you, but not necessarily for the prisoner thing. But
yeah, well, something's going to happen where they can't get back in, or they release something that they shouldn't have, and then they got to put it back, and it's going to be a whole thing.
Chris Pine's there. Turns out he's been prison since JJ Kirk. Oh my god.
Anyway, they explored this planetoid, which used to be a gas giant. So it's just the core of the gas giant that's remaining, and they noticed some Dyson rings
on the planet.
Yep, not important, I guess. That technology and all, that's what you're there for, to learn things. You might want to, send your ship while you're on the planet.
And you had the best comment earlier. They should have had this ship do something, actually go to the ring and do something, scan it, and the ground team could have A and B plot really do, Saru on the planet, Saru on the ship, and burn them, or vice versa, etc. You could argue if they went to the Dyson ring, maybe the aliens would detect them. But if they're in the solar system, they're detecting them. We have 2, even in NX-01 era, you can detect 2 light years away, give or take. Discovery certainly can. And so the tendency, they're there. There's no hiddenness, so go to scan the thing. That's really exciting in Dyson. It's cool. Dyson rings, most exciting thing in this episode. Moving on.
Yeah. But they're sending an away team, a mission down to the planet to look at the ruins, see if there's any cultural context they can use to communicate with these things. And, it's a good idea, but like I said, please explore the rings. It's kind of important.
And I was thinking ruins as in, like, cities and really impressive sci-fi ruins. We didn't see any... We didn't even see, like, an abstract graphic. We just saw the single building for one exterior, which was kind of bony-ish. They really didn't show us anything on purpose. They didn't want to commit to the visual, I guess, but it really is just a gas giant core, which is just sand. Like, there isn't anything there,
Yeah. So anyway, we get the right stuff moment where they walk down the hall looking all badass. And
then we hard cut to a Tarkin book, and I'm thinking, okay, great, they're not on the other side of the galaxy. They're on the other side of the galactic barrier. They haven't got through yet. There's gonna be some great twist. No, they're here. Oh,
yeah,
so
they're
easy.
right behind Discovery. Yeah,
and they're not even cloaked, so somehow they can block scans. Even they do talk about cloaking device as well. It's very inconsistent when they can detect and not detect. And they have the exact same conversations of every single episode. It's super non-compelling what they talk about because.
But they talked about the Kowalian night spray, who survives on the back of a Jat spat, like a parasite, but not really. Anyway, good idea from Tarka to latch on to Discovery and just go in with it instead of following it in. But there's a little bit of a hitch in the plan. They need to make sure that Zora doesn't detect them on the hull, so they have to install a patch manually.
See, I thought a patch was a physical patch of metal on the outside of the hull, manually. I thought it'd be spacesuits. I had zero context. It was going to be a software patch from inside the ship.
Yeah.
So I was waiting for like a cool spacesuit scene. Instead, it just plugs a USB in. Small thing, but it was for me that was unclear.
No, as soon as he said patch, I knew exactly what he meant when he said he had to get on board. So I didn't once think that. I don't think they would use the term patch in that context. They would use it as like a attachment or point or something. I don't know.
I don't think they do patch as a software patch because she would detect that it'd be a hack. It'd be a program. It would be a patch. That's the wrong phraseology either way.
Yeah.
But
no. Yeah. Anyway, then we get the whole.
The only thing I'll say about that though is that if the entire point is time is of the essence, right?
Yes,
waiting for discovery.
29 hours at this point.
And they presumably know that because they've presumably been checking in whatever. Fine. If their whole plan is to wait for discovery to go through. What if discovery can't find a way to go through until 1 hour before? They were squandering their entire chance. I found it kind of odd. It's as if they'd read scripts for episode 12 and 13 knowing they got through in that time. If their entire plan is to wait for discovery, but then the discovery's going to try and stop you, so it seems what a heavy risk. Why not try your red light? You've got a cloak, which may or may not work. You got one shot, but why wait for discovery that may or may not be able to get through? You know, I just thought that was a bit of an odd risk. Because they want to stop you. So now you're putting yourself in the firing line when you get there. It just seemed odd to me that there's no second plan there. There's no reason to have that. That should have been plan B, not plan A.
Yeah.
I don't know.
So this whole discussion of shuttle bay is good because it's like, we've got limited time, so just let's make this work. Do what you can do, and then Burnham's like, "Does everybody understand that?" And she gets confronted by the general from Earth, who says, "You know what? This might not be a good idea. We have a limited amount of time. Sure, you might find something. You could, find something that'll help, but it's not guaranteed.
In thousand-year-old ruins.
We're 2 light years away. Like, let's just get to it. Because by the end of this, I think they're down to 23 or 21 hours.
I think 19, actually.
Something like that,
yeah.
So they waste, like, almost 10 hours of time doing this. That's a lot of time you could actually be, trying to communicate or establish some kind of, So I agree with her in that regard, and even the linguistics guy is like, yeah, so don't screw up, and kind of. I didn't think he came off bad at all, but we'll find out about that later. So no, I think her criticisms are valid, and I totally agree with her, and I'm surprised more people don't. Honestly,
well, especially as they're doing a mission, what's everyone else doing?
Nothing.
As we see later on.
Puzzles.
Yeah, literally. I mean, the amount of prep for this mission is astoundingly small. And this advisor lady, this general, she will literally be sitting in her quarters, twiddling her thumbs for over a sleep cycle. So of course, I could be saving my planet. I have to sit here and do nothing with no. So yeah, it's why is there not 2 plans here? Why don't you insist on Dyson's rings? It's a real disconnect between our heroes are the center of the plot, everyone else can be static. When in reality, you feel like the whole ship would be ready for a goal, what was the general's background before she was a general? That'd be a great time for her to say, I used to be a pilot. I have volunteered to send I like some level of. I don't think she'd sit back.
Well,
it's weird.
Yeah, and that whole thing even translates to the whole Dyson ring thing, like you said. Send the shuttle down to get cultural context from the planetoid. But also sends the ship to actually explore the actual technology that is a Dyson ring, which is pretty impressive.
Very impressive, yeah.
Hey, look, Dyson rings. Yeah, moving on. And it's never mentioned again. It's like, what the hell? I mean, she might play an important part in the next 2 episodes, but I kind of doubt it.
Yeah.
It's just... Yeah.
And these are the best parts of the episode as well. Like, the setup is like, it's got a decent pace. Like, in terms of single chunk of time. Like, it starts strong and sort of loses a lot of steam. But Continuum Trek says, that was like a good green screen shot. Or like a green screen shot as a still. Yes, it's this is part of the LED background wall, so you haven't used much this season. And you can kind of tell the difference in vibe to the green screen. Although, boy, not afraid of no colour, are they? I mean, that is devoid of colour.
As it should be. It's Discovery.
Mm.
John Davy, though, throws in €2.
Thank you.
It says Tarkus seemingly able to do anything. Dull character. Disagree. I kind of like the character, but yeah.
Well, he's as much to that as Data or Seven of Nine or the Doctor or Spock. They are some of the best in their field for a reason, and Tarka is the smartest man in the Alpha Quadrant that they found. So it makes sense he could do stuff, and I like a lot that he can outthink Zora, because she being a god AI is a bit boring beyond words. So the fact that he can act easily within a couple of hours outsmart her is fantastic.
Yeah. Anyway. So they're aboard the shuttle and they're going down talking about... Oh, I'm glad the laws of physics still apply here. Ha 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 ha. But anyway, there's a lot of craters and stuff on the surface, presumably caused by asteroids. And they talk about the atmospheric dissipation.
Nice one, of course.
Saying that this probably happened approximately 1,000 years ago. So about 80 years before Discovery left, because they're about 20 years in the future.
And they hadn't even made the connection,
Yeah. So I mean, hey, that's cool. A lot of impacts, a lot of asteroid impacts. Seems like a natural disaster. Sounds like almost, but I have a distinct impression it was an attack of some kind. But hey, what do I know?
We'll find out. We'll find out. Maybe or not.
Yeah. Then they speculate that they probably lived in the gas layers because this was a gas giant, so there's no real... You can't really live on the surface.
The gravity is perfectly happy to stand in and no issues there. I did read a post saying the gravity would kill them.
It would be super dense, yeah.
That they would be dead in this atmosphere just with the gravity.
That's what the suits are for. The suits compensate for it.
I mean, it is future gravity, but I mean also just... But you think so? It's also compensated with their steps? Because they're walking and moving very freely, so it's artificially increasing their speed?
It's like a mech suit.
Right.
I would assume it would compensate for different gravitation on things on planets, for sure. That's what they're for.
Because I just saw it as a planetoid. I didn't even hear the gas giant thing really until, talking to you. Because you don't hear that, they don't mention it again. So I just thought, just planet. And they're just walking, didn't even occur to me the science of a gas giant, etc.
Yeah, so I mean... Anyway, they go on to just talk about how the 10C are probably unlike anything we've ever encountered. Especially, things living in a gas giant atmosphere, fine, but intelligent enough to create things and technology, and it just seems, it's going to be odd.
Well, the Xindi Aquatics were whales and they made space travel, so... So then Saru walks through blue dust, which I kind of assume was the blood of them, like dried blood. Originally, I thought it might be like a virus in the blood. That's how I took it initially.
Yeah.
But he steps through and
he makes the point too that he can't detect any life signs, including their own, which means there still could be something alive down here. We're not sure, so it's...
Which doesn't play into it at all. I thought that'd be a really cool thing. Not even hinted upon. And then he has a freak out. And their reactions are appalling because they say, "Oh, what's around here?" It being crickets, gas giant crickets. And then he says, "No, I had vertigo, or there was something there that glinted in my eye." And everyone just ignores that as if he didn't just say, "We're under attack." It's a really... Yeah, they should have been, cognizant of his emotions and say, "Mate, scan. Oh no, you're having a fear response. Are you okay?" "No, I'm not." "Oh, is it..." They should have solved it then and there, like the first step. It's not well done to have it be so... you just go crazy sometimes. It's like, no, he doesn't. He's very stable. That's his entire character arc for 2 years. But they find bones.
An extremely large bone.
Moving on.
Hard cut to Tarkin book.
For their extremely hard bone.
Wow. Talking about their mission, because the shuttle's down there, the Discovery's not going anywhere, so they have a little bit of time at least to get over there and get this planted. And they get the armbands that disguise their biosigns from Zora. Hmm.
And then he questions his commitment to the mission and reminds him that billions of lives are at risk, as if he doesn't know this fact. As if he hasn't risked his life, his prison sentence. He fired on his girlfriend, tried to kill them all, betraying Starfleet several times at this point. It's a ludicrous little thing of, seriously, Discovery, do we need to reiterate this? Why is he so calm? Why is this needed?
SN1 War, says Trekyards, this episode completely forgot to resolve the they can't detect their own life signs thing. They did. They mentioned it, never said why that was. I assume it might be a dampening field produced by the Dyson rings. But
I just thought it was the planet's radiation. I mean, it got bombed by 5,000 asteroids. I mean, unknown planet with unknown things. And it's also to make sure they... But things they could also... I was about to say, maybe it shows they can't scan stuff, but they did also scan the materials. So they can scan stuff, it's not life signs, but they can scan rocks and materials fully successfully. So why can't they scan life signs then? Why are the scans blocked entirely? No. Why would life signs be scanned blocked entirely?
It would have to be something funky because they can't even detect their own life signs, which.
But they can detect everything else.
Yeah. It just sounds more stupid. Yeah.
Then what isn't stupid though? Briefly, one bit of good credit. I love the fact that they use these little side Voyager style armband things, very much like Hansons from Voyager, where they anti-ball detection things. So that I thought was cute and very minimally played. But I thought that was yay tech. Although super easy, barely inconvenience to stop 32nd century internal scanners. Very smart man. I like it. Didn't even break a sweat.
And then Book kneels down. Is like, what is this? Some kind of Quajon thing? No, I just like to have a torso. And they beam over and into a Jeffries tube, and Tarka bunks his head. I like that.
Although I was getting dum-dum-dum-dum vibes.
Shannon Nash throws in $10, so thank you so much, Shannon. Who wants to bet the 10C disaster was indirectly caused by Discovery either through a Lorca ultra multi-vectored spore jump, B, Discovery's return to the Prime Universe, or C, the Red Angel time jump? I don't think it'll be any of those things, considering this happened over 1,000 years ago. My theory is that the planet they just explored was not the 10C. It was destroyed by the 10C. And the atmosphere ripped away by maybe the DMA, the mining tool, because maybe it's high in boronite. Who knows? But yeah, I don't think the 10C are these big cartilagey creatures that swim through the upper atmosphere of a gas giant, personally.
Yeah, I think we're going to need to not take that to heart, though, because probably isn't. It does certainly change the whole context of the episode, but I'll get into that later as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, I like the beaming thing, although you would, do mention it, because you're beaming into solid matter, so you just, one thing higher, and your head's now in it, you're dead. So
yeah, you should mention it to him.
That should have been how it should have ended, because in some versions of reality, his head beamed into a bulkhead and he got killed. Now this is where I thought, great to see the Jeffries tubes, why the hell are they still the same as pre-refit? Why they're still, old style fire extinguishers and buttons that are 1,000 years antiquated? I don't get it. Why is this stuff still in service? Why is this stuff still here? You do not need. There should be if you need to have fire extinguishers, have a little black cube with a nozzle. It just looks so stupid when you have that stuff. It's a mockery of like, come on guys, be consistent.
Doc McGillicuddy, no, I didn't. We were talking about this on Friday night during our first reaction video. Somebody mentioned it, and I'm like, that's a brilliant idea. So if it was you, all credit to you. But
yeah, the amount of things we talk about in these lives is a lot.
Yeah. Anyway, back on the planet, Dr. Culber's scans are showing that the bone structure is unusually low density, so it was probably flexible, therefore cartilage, before it got fossilized. And so they were probably, like we said, they lived in some of the upper atmospheres of gaseous. So,
which is all good ideas, all good visuals, all good thoughts. I like the idea. I mean, creatures live in gas giants, cool. Sweet.
Mm-hmm.
I like it.
Yeah, want to see new life forms. I mean, that's what Star Trek's about. So,
but yet no. At this point, as of yet, no mention of any technology found on this planet. No machinery, no metals. You would need some, because if these are the 10C, they invented at the same time. Remember, this isn't as if this is the proto-planet. The same year, this thing got blown up. There was a, galaxy-powered, more powerful than the bloody God's rays of the universe thing. So there should be residual tech on this planet somewhere. And I was thinking, why is there no metals or tech yet?
Yeah, that's what I thought too. Because the next line is, so why didn't they all escape?
Yeah.
Even with all their advanced tech, a full planet evacuation was impossible. It's like, what advanced tech? Oh, you mean the Dyson spheres or the Dyson rings you aren't investigating?
Yes.
To find out if they could be even made by creatures that are this size. And how would they get out of their atmosphere to do that? If they build ships for themselves, like Dyson rings.
And all they'd have to do, Stuart, is clearly it's still operating because it was powered, right? Go to it, find a way hacking into the main computer core, download specifications and language banks. I'm sure it'll alert the 10C that you're breaking and entering, but they would know you're there, so it was relevant,
Yeah.
But I did like the idea though that even though they're mega advanced, doesn't mean you can save a whole planet, especially if they're the size of whales.
Yeah.
Which fair. But it certainly pulls in one direction that might not be the direction it ends up going.
And Burnham asks Saru, "What's going on with you?" "I have felt the coming of death." Haven't heard that for a while. So.
Boy, I thought it was going to pay off. Boy, it didn't.
Guess what? It didn't.
Nope. Because I thought it was going to be really, really, really exciting, where his physiology allowed him to combine his senses with the drug. He could then flash into the past, see the memories, and see it, and tell.
Yeah.
And we see one giant flashback of those whales and the ships going up, and then you hear a language, and really epic moment.
There was a build up to that too. There was some foreshadowing on the ship when those President Serena's like, or whatever the Federation president's name is should you going? I understand, but should you take Saru? It's like, he's got different senses, and he can, it might be very useful. It's like, okay, cool, it's going to pay off, and it looked like it was going to for a minute here.
Yep.
Nope, goes nowhere.
Yeah, the fact that the idea of this thing is, the blood, the energy of this creature is so advanced, even its, fossilized stage, its decomposed stage, it refires his neurons to reconnect things and make him see the lived experience of this entity. That's fantastic. I was expecting to see, and there's one brief clip where you see a sort of thing flying, sort of in the air, sort of. It's very, very brief.
Mm.
And then you get a sense of the scale and scope, and then that's the reveal, the 10C. Here they are, at least on this planet. And it's not, it's just he's afraid. He's just being triggered. There's no depth. He's not even seeing actual hallucinations. Everything he's seeing is a complete fiction of his own brain. He's just being triggered. There's no actual... then he's not sensing the actual feelings of the creatures of long past. His own feelings are being triggered by the chemicals left. It's not actual, my mind to your mind. It's just, I feel happy because I'm detecting happy chemicals, which means I know you felt happy. So it's way less interesting than it sounds.
Yeah. John Davey throws in €2, so thank you so much.
Thank you.
10C slightly out of phase with our reality. I mean, could be. That might be...
Cool.
I'd be fine with that.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
Then we get Scrabble with unimportant character number 1 and the president.
Yeah, she basically just gives him a dressing down for putting doubt in people's minds by questioning the captain, which he really didn't do, but hey, what do I know?
But I mean, she has nothing else to do, so I guess she's just micromanaging.
Exactly.
I mean, really, she's just, makes sense in that way.
Yeah, it's a nice little moment, I guess, but
it honestly feels like it could be a deleted scene.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the word the word he needed was obligation. Just so you know. But yeah, basically, don't be so adversarial or confrontational in front of others, which kind of pays off later a bit when he's. Anyway, yeah. 3D Scrabble. No, yeah, I wouldn't call it Scrabble. I call it a crossword, but
I thought it was Scrabble.
Yeah.
I mean, it probably isn't, but that's the the visual I got.
Well, it's not because he didn't have tiles; he had a keyboard. So.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah. So yeah, anything else you want to say about this scene in particular, or no?
I mean, she's great in it. Always credit to the actress, but it definitely feels so extremely extraneous.
Yeah.
I mean, if he seemed like an interesting character, and he's not been. He might be in the end, but yeah, it's not great. Then
they follow up with Book and Tarka. They want to see about possibly getting into the mess hall, as it would be a shortcut. But they check first, and we got the general and the president of Navarre talking, and the general's just telling her about how it's a waste of time. You know, both our worlds can be destroyed within days. And the Navarre president's like, hey, I trust my vice president. We have safety protocols and evacuation stuff, you know, so should be fine. We should save most of our people if anything happens. But yeah, just brings up the fact again that we could be talking to them right now, demanding they turn this off. And I love how she says opportunities multiply as they are seized. And right now we're basically just killing time. We should be going straight to that hyperfield. Which made me think that she might try to make a move on the ship, try to hijack the ship, which would be a bad idea, but yeah.
I mean, it's a fine conversation.
Moving on.
At least I appreciate that she says, "Why are you so calm?" And it's like, do you not know what Vulcans are like? If she's voted the president of a planet, she's very calm. Like, she needs to be the best Vulcan to be a Vulcan. So I thought the president did a really good job at summarizing. I mean, they're both so very calm considering. But you can tell instantly there's going to be payoff to that. Like, it's such a... This is called a scene that sets up a future scene. It's like, yes, it is. Welcome.
Somebody on the writing staff went to writing school.
Then you cut to a very odd visual of...
Yes.
Interior. Now,
floating jellyfish things that look like Mintakins, or whatever they are from Spectre of the Gun. I thought, oh, those are like dead bodies or something.
So in first watch, I thought, great, we're going to get some really cool shots. We don't. In second viewing, I thought, okay, this is a really, really, really cluttered non-shot, right? You just visually sense big scale, clutter, organic, and grubby. There's nothing else you can pull from this, really detail-wise. I think that's on purpose because it's a nursery graveyard of corpses, right? Of 1,000-year-old corpses. So they don't want to show something in any depth because they haven't really got a design for it. They've just got grossness. And so all the next shots, all these like weird side views and close-ups where you get no sense of the space or the environment or the whatever. Like, it's so one-dimensional that I think that's on purpose now because it's the weird sort of scale of death that you can't really appreciate. So not appreciate, but yeah, now's the next sort of 15 minutes in this very, very dark brown environment out of focus. Not very, it doesn't really look very nice.
Guys, hit that like button. Let's get it to 80 likes. Super chats have been super light, so if you guys want to throw in your thoughts, your ideas, anything you have want us to talk about for this one, please do so. We also have our poll right now. We have 87 votes. We'd like to have around 100 for those. So if you haven't voted, go check it out. It says, what did you think of this episode? Liked it, loved it, meh, or didn't like it? So please go do that. Yeah, and then we get the whole talking about Saru basically having the same symptoms as his Varahai or whatever the fuck it's called. Anyway, and she's Burnham asked Culber to go take care of him, make sure he's all right because all of his levels are way high and spiking. But yeah, they're looking around saying, is this a stadium? Is this a sanatorium? There's cultural things that all species kind of have. That we need to find some kind of cultural reference here, something written down, something to indicate what this is. And then we get the whole Colbert touching Saru and freaking out, and Saru's like, "There, do you see? Do you see it now?" So,
well summarized.
Pretty much. There's not much going on.
It's extremely surface level.
Yes, this is going to be a short review.
I mean, that was a perfect summary. I mean, there's nothing to say there because all the things that could have been weren't. You know, like I was honestly expecting at this sort of scene when Saru sits down, you see a flash, and when he turns back to Colbert, you see the alive room and all the cocoons, and you see like floating, going, and like a sense of life, and then he phases back to Colbert and goes like, "What do you see, Saru?" "I see death," and that keeps evolving. You know, that is what I was visually. No, it's just this grey room and an LED studio for 30 minutes.
Doc McGillicuddy throws in $2. I think 10C is future emo Mir Burnham.
No.
Well, just kidding.
2, Joe. Or 2 more episodes. Yes. Now, the next thing I'm confused about, there's a corridor on Discovery where the lights are, for some reason, alternating on and off in a certain pattern.
Yeah.
I don't know why, except it's meant to look like a horror film later.
In season 1, they'd walk down a corridor and the lights would come on and then turn off which, great, perfect. I didn't understand this either. And why, like you said earlier in our other review, why have this conversation not only in a corridor, but at an intersecting corridor? That's 4 chances for somebody to see you, unless you know nobody's on this deck, and that lighting represents that this deck is shut down for some reason. But there's no reason that would be a thing right now.
Yeah, if you're going to have an in-depth, let's change the plan conversation, have it in the Jeffries tube where you know you can't be overheard, just in general. And also, it sort of makes a bit of a mockery, a little bit of books saying, I know this ship better than you do, given now they're splitting up. But also, you just go to the engine room, and all these crawl through a Jeffries tube. Like, there was no strategy that book showed him to help get around stuff. They're immune from sensors, so they don't have to avoid anything. He crawled through Jeffries tube, and he avoided a quicker route, fine, but the normal route was where they were going. And then he comes out of Jeffries tube and then just walks into another Jeffries tube. Like, there's no rationale for being special. He didn't say he didn't need him, and Tricorder had done this just as well.
Mm-hmm.
And then he calls the person. He somehow.
Well, his plan is to talk to General Nadoya.
Yeah.
Nadoya, and have her help because she's obviously on their side with the conversation we just heard.
It's a risk, but it's a good risk. So, is he activated in the internal communication network while not being detected? Is he using her communicator, which will be detected by the ship? It's not. How does he manage to spoof it?
And it's coming from the Federation president.
How is he spoofing that?
I have no idea.
I don't think there's just unknown caller. It says, "I'm the president. Come meet me in a dark, alone corridor, alone at night at 4 a.m."
Yeah. When she showed up later and is like asking for the president, President Serena, I'm like, this seems like an assassination attempt right now.
Yep.
You should probably be a little. But she did have a knife on her, but still.
Wow. When they have literally weapons that come out of their hands. I don't know why it wasn't meet me your own quarters. Especially they know they can beam in and out of the ship. You know? Because if they can hide the beam in, they can hide a beam between. There's no logic that they're hiding the beam already. So just beam between the ship to the ship, you know?
Yeah.
Bit of a weird thing there. So I assumed he was just sending the signal with his name without her. I didn't see the president name. Because that'd be enough for T saying, I have a strategy to win. But to use her thing, I thought was totally unnecessary, personally.
Oh. Okay. No, sorry. Going to the next scene, I finally see Burnham touching the blue stuff. It's so, moving on. Because I didn't notice it the first 2 times I watched.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
I did.
Okay.
So but she touches it, and you know what's going to happen. She senses the coming of death. We see non-flashbacks, and then Cobb was instantly like, are you hallucinating as well? Yes. Okay, we're all ill now. Cool. You're not Detmer. Cool. Let's solve this problem.
Yeah, and at this point where it's like Detmer's not affected, I thought it had something to do with her implant, but
whereas I knew just didn't touch it yet.
Yeah.
And it was at this point I realized, oh, this is gonna be it for the episode, isn't it? We're not gonna like add stuff. This is gonna be the whole episode.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's see. I'm trying to get through this scene.
Back on the ship. We have a very odd. We forgot. We need to have Adira in the show, and Jet Reno said.
Oh, and Jet. Yeah.
Well, I do like the replicator. I don't like the ping, but I like the effect of it coming in. I thought that was quite nice. Now, to note here, Jet's costume now shows that the middle rank pip thingy, which isn't actually rank pip, it's just a detail, actually is half. It's actually a splittable, which is not visible in. I don't know if that's. I think they might just not her costume because maybe she didn't like the top of it. But yeah, she has a conversation with Adira about how cool.
Yeah.
How cool the other person is.
I love how Jet's like, oh, so when Gray's away, like you're interested in. No, not like that. She's just such a strong person. I just want to be more like her, confident and outgoing. And Jet's like, yeah, well, ask her how calm her veneer was when she crashed after coming out of a wormhole. Just get to know her. Go, have you talked to her? Go hang out with her, but don't start out by "I want to be you." It's kind of creepy. It's a fun little discussion. I love Jet Reno, so
I thought it was perfectly fine.
I did too.
No, it was fine. I honestly thought it was Adira kind of had a vague fancying of. I thought that'd been kind of interesting. The pure chemistry now that Gray's gone would have been kind of fun. But yeah.
Taylor T throws in $20. So thank you so much, Tyler. This episode was almost totally filler. This entire episode's plot could have been replaced by a sign that said, "Wait for the last 2 episodes for real plot development." Also, was that a Lower Decks reference I heard? It was. Tarka notices the replicator, and as a result, in the next scene we see him in, the replicators are pumping out steamed bananas. I got a chuckle out of that. I gotta say, the first time I was like, that's funny. But yeah, that's all that's going on in this scene. And it's good to have Jet back, but hopefully she plays a bigger part in the next 2 episodes because I do like the character. So
and I think certainly the fact that she gets kidnapped at the end is very clear of, right, now we got her at the end of the season.
She said she's got a big part at the end of the season. I was waiting for it.
Well, and she said second half, and then didn't appear in 4 of them. So clearly it'll be a big part in the last one. But obviously, a big part is relative to have already appeared. If you've only been in 4 scenes in 10 episodes, then being in 5 scenes in 2 episodes feels like a big part. But I don't give 2 shits. I mean, don't need a better actor than Adira, but just not compelling.
Yeah, it's like I said earlier too. It's not like they're gonna notice her missing. She hasn't been around all friggin' season.
Yeah.
So they're not gonna notice her off the ship.
I mean, I do appreciate the acting is. Jet feels like just a person. There's no sort of layer of character there. It's just this is a person who's like this in real life. This is just who this actress is. This is how she is in real life. She's just on this set talking as if she's in Star Trek. Like there's no, there's exactly her personality. That's why it works so well. There's no, whereas Adira's, that's not at all, like it's not, it feels like it's acting. Like so it's fun to see the difference of, I'm being overly quirky and like Tilly but younger versus, I didn't want to have a Zippo, but this is me. I'm just saying, I'm barely in costume right now. I'm just a lady. Hi. So it's super naturalistic. But Klingon coffee would have been nice if Adira had said, "What's a Klingon?" or something. And I was kind of waiting for a Klingon reference there, but yeah.
Next scene, they find out that Detmer's the only one not affected, and they check the biosuit readings, and her settings are all the same. But then they're like, maybe it's that dust. Oh, it's not it's it's unknown. Let's reprogram the programmable matter filters to filter it out, and then it stops it. And they figured out that it was dust by Saru stepped in it, Culber touched him, and then Burnham touched it as well. So anyway, they filter that out. They get that fixed, and that's it for this scene. Problem solved.
I mean, in fairness, mega advanced tech is just a compound. But without knowing what it does yet, really, they can filter it out. But, I mean, you would think a lot of stuff's automated. They're just typing in the chemical composition and the suit's doing the automation. So I'm actually fine with that, and I kind of like the simplicity. It does feel like, yeah, natural tech, you know?
And Detmer was like, oh yeah, and plus I'm good at putting things in boxes because of my past and my PTSD. On how well she handled it. So.
And Rust Knuckle says, who let the filters on the suits open to random dust when it all took was a few buttons to keep it out? Should not be default closed any option. So that's not what's happened here. It's a chemical that on
Unknown
touch is something that cannot be filtered out. There's nothing about anything being open. It's just unable to be filtered. Just like with transporters, if the thing is unable to be filtered because it's unknown, it will get through. It's not because the pattern buffers aren't working, it's that they do not register the thing. Or like a language you've not heard before, Universal Translator will not translate it because it can't straight away. It has to learn by doing. And so once you then tell the suit this is a thing that exists on the periodic table, it can now defend against it. It's a new thing, so it's nothing to do with it being open. Like this is protecting them from death. This is just a mega... Yeah. You know, I kind of took it by this point as like spinal fluid that dried up from these creatures. Like really, really concentrated, special, mega alien stuff. So I have zero problem with that. And I prefer once the final... Like once this all comes to fruition, the logic of it, rather than just it got on them and it transferred. Like the sex drug from TNG is like, what's happening? Yeah. You know?
Yeah. Sackball says, could just be the other signals or frequencies that mess with their heads or the light giving them hallucinations. No, because in a scene earlier they said there's no electromagnetic interference, there's no frequency changes. They already checked for all that stuff.
Nothing's actually happening. It's the chemical on them.
We kind of glazed over it, but...
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they also definitely credit Detmer a lot here for just pressing a few buttons. It's as if she's a genius, but like she's not a science field, and this seems obviously like... Okay, they say well for learning the EV stuff, but she just used the suit normally. It's odd to give her such credit when you've got this little time to live. It's felt out of place.
Burnham says, I'm glad you paid attention to the EV suit things. Well, yeah, that's your job to learn your equipment.
Yeah.
So.
Didn't you? Like when you parted the work bee in the thing, I mean, are you telling me that you, Miss Spacesuit, who flew the Red Angel suit, didn't pay attention? Well, apparently so. Yeah. But suddenly, Sorry works out the thing, I think.
No,
not yet. Suddenly, Jet Reno is having coffee back in engineering, which they do call engineering multiple times now. Yeah. It's by not being engineering, but they've now forgotten that officially.
And Linus reports that the replicators are acting up on a few decks, producing steamed bananas. And she's like, well, if the replicators go down, we're screwed because we have no food otherwise out here. So, yeah, I'm going to go check that out. So that's the distraction to get her out of engineering. So that's what's his nuts. Tarka can install the patch. But yes, Steam Banana reference was funny. It did make me laugh. And definitely a nod to episode 1 of Lower Decks. So that's it for that scene. It's very quick, by the way. Mm-hmm. And then we get the General Nadoi scene with Book. And I love the way that she kind of handles it. Like, I thought she's still very much on the mission. Like, she agrees with... She said, I should turn you in. I should, because, you're wanted. He eventually just talks her into, I'll need your help at some point. And she says, what? Yeah, but we got to do this first contact thing first. Like, we have to make sure this plan goes through. If it doesn't, then I'll be able to help you more. But I like the way the conversation goes. She doesn't just go automatically to, fuck Burnham. It's like she knows that they're doing things for the right reason. She doesn't necessarily agree with it. So.
Yeah,
I thought it seems suspiciously like an assassination attempt in a dark alley, and it just seems sketchy. I wouldn't be there. I want to be there. But hey, what do I know?
Well, briefly, NZ Faters, how about having some security guards in engineering? What are they securitying against?
Yeah, there's no reason to have security guards. They're outside the galaxy by themselves.
And 10C is the most advanced race they've ever seen. I mean, do you really think one guy with a phaser engineering will stop anybody? I mean, when the Earth forces beamed in the first time, they took an entire ship instantly. So, what? By that logic, why is there no guards in the TNG engineering room ever? Well, because there isn't. I mean, they're not even phasers.
Yeah.
No, it's yeah. Whereas opposed to these people, where they could have phasers in their arms. At least in TNG, they had to have holsters. Like everyone's probably on at all times in theory.
And I love how Book says too. I have faith in Burnham, just I don't have faith in the 10C. Because that's the other thing she says to him. Like, don't you have faith in Michael? Like, no, I have faith in her, just not the 10C, which makes perfect sense.
Now, this is actually probably the best written part of the episode.
Yeah, I would agree.
Because it's balanced, it's unexpected, it's dimensionality. They're both extremely calm considering what's happening, but they're professionals, they're committed, they're in on it. And yeah, her reaction is such a nice little twist. But just as the original deal was offered to Book and Tarka, which is, give us 1 week, if all else fails, we'll blow it up. She's the exact same deal to him. It's like, well, if this fails, you get whatever. Which is sort of the vibe they were going previously for. So this is not unreasonable to be like, I will help you if plan A, because you were always plan B. It's just I am now an active participant. So I did think that was good. Yeah, no, I've lost my home, don't lose your home, etc. No, it was, yeah. And also, there's a very small sound effect of when her knife goes away, it goes back into her arm. So it's a kill matter knife, yeah.
Nice.
Very, very subtle, but I quite like that. Nice and consistent.
Back on the planet, they're talking about the hydrocarbons and how it all made them see the same hallucinations, the same thing, which they thought was odd. And then they find these pillars, which contain DNA.
I assume there was a spine piece for a
baby. Yeah, it looked like a spine. It did, yeah.
Because there's no tech on this planet, so there's no reason to assume they are tech. I mean, you can see the exact same pieces if you brought up in the back. So there's loads of these, and they do say these are younger. These were cocoons, so these are presumably child spines.
Yeah, they said this is a nursery. They value the life of their children. They value life.
And because they're feeling
cultural
love,
context. Because
the kids feel love, not necessarily understand. Would you tell all your children the planet's about to blow up by asteroid? Maybe not. So if these are 1-year-olds or 4-month-year-olds sensing love, but it's such a what is this environment? You know, it's so hard to grasp. And I do mention cocoons. When they said that, boy, I was like, is there going to be a full cocoon left? And they're going to see a creature, and it's going to be a whole thing. I was so excited for about 44 seconds. And instead they touched dust for the next 5 minutes. Which is, it's all fine, but wasn't quite as exciting as I was hoping it was going to be.
It's like, I want to try something. What are you doing? Touched it already. And then, and then everybody jumps on board and does the same thing. I thought this was the stupidest thing imaginable. Why would they all risk this? To learn about Detmer and to have Culber have a moment. That's why. And Saru's being totally at peace.
So, it's definitely the worst part of the episode from a logic point of view. As I joked in our earlier review, I said, as you know, Stuart, all unknown drug substances have their entire effect and side effect happen in the first 30 seconds. So don't worry, if you feel what you feel in the first 30 seconds, that's the entire thing. So there's no reason to assume anything else, or all the officers should be whatever. It should have been, honestly, Saru, who needed to... So the scene was Burnham risking it all because the Earth's in danger. Great. Touched it. Fine. Cole was like, no, Captain. Too late. Great. Saru then does it himself slyly because he needs to feel relief from all the pain and the fear. Great. At that point, they're reacting, and Culber's like, I'm going to scan you all, and Detmer's like, I'm interested, I haven't felt this yet, once they say it's okay, and then he stays clear. To have him be taken was just insanity. Because they can all do it if he doesn't do it. I'm okay with that just about, because they've worked out a way. But they don't even have evidence that they can stop this chemical from being in their system. What if this is in their system, it can't come out? You know? Because what if there's long-term effects to their brains?
Yeah.
They're only saying that the new effect will be filtered out, not the existing effect on their brains. It's very strange.
It's stupid, is what it is.
Yes, it is very stupid. Well done. Well said.
But they realize that it's a different emotion. The first one was fear. This one was love and comfort. And so they're like, these are like pheromones, essentially. They each one gives off a different sense of emotion. So, yay. I Am Misi, though, throws in $10, so thank you so much. Next season, the big bad is going to be the addiction to 10C happiness. Dun, dun, dun. Maybe. But then they're like, all right, cool, let's turn our filters back on. Everybody does it on their... I like their little displays. I think they're kind of cool. And then they're like, we get the rest of our scans and go back to the ship. So they're scanning for more different substances, different hydrocarbons now that can be used, essentially. But yeah, it's stupid that everybody did it. I'm sorry, it bugged me so much.
The thing is, the ideas are good. The scene's quite nice, but another problem is that every time you cut to a person, you barely see their face. Every background is a grey, dirty, out of focus mush. It's a horrible looking scene.
Yeah, it is.
It's really quite disgusting and doesn't serve. I mean, yes, it's a background layer of who cares, right? But it's just
Matt Boardman, 10 cc's of happiness. Oh my god.
And I do like that Detmer's never had true parental love and affection.
I do too.
Backstory. But the world's counting on you, the galaxies. You know, remember, it's not just Earth that's going to get blown up. It's going to be Lunar Colony, Mars Colony, Titan Colony. You know, it isn't just Earth going to blow up with all of the solar system. You're looking at everybody from Earth in the context of that place, and people haven't moved off world for 120 years because of the burn. So most of the classic humans are on Earth's solar system. It just does feel odd to just say, and yes, my father was very distant. People shit themselves about the death of our planet. It just is an odd time to do it. Do it in the last scene, you know. Have them come back together at the end for one drink to say we need this after experience and share. Don't have it here, you know.
Yeah. A Saucy Puppet Show, $5.
Thank you.
Feels like love has to be on the list of top worst, cringiest lines of dialogue I've heard.
Well.
Fry Minis, $2. I would love to wear those suits in Halo Infinite. The suits are pretty cool. I do like the look of the suits.
They are.
All right, back aboard Discovery. Tarka gets the patch installed. His messaging book that he's on his way back to the ship, and then Jet Reno comes back after fixing the replicators and says it's like somebody was playing a practical joke.
It's not funny.
During an existential crisis. What the hell? And then she hears Tarka, and if somebody's screwing around. It's not today is not the day. And then please tell me I just spoiled the surprise party. Great. Anyway, yeah, that's it for that scene. I don't know what else to say.
I mean, I'm sure the audience was thinking, why doesn't he beam away? Because he could. Now, yes, she would hear it, but she'd have no knowledge of, like, what can she say? I guess, because remember, in the first few episodes, they're beaming every 5 seconds, so it could have been anything. She's not going to assume Tarka from a cloaked ship is beamed in, you know? It might create a mystery, but... And he does seem a bit dumb just to get seen. Just like a little, like, oh, you found me. Like, what sort of acting was that? What sort of direction was it? Just pretend you think being still mean you can't get seen, and she just goes, hello. It was very strange. Oh, and then they have tech all of a sudden. Huh.
Yeah, this is where they're talking about, again, how some Earth species communicate with chemicals in the air, and then we talk about another one from a different planet that does it by just changing the scent of their breath. It's like interesting ideas for sure. Yeah, this would make the comparison between hydrocarbons, the pheromones of the the 10C. So it might be a way to communicate with them. It's like, yeah, brilliant. Maybe we can... And then Burnham has a realization, which is what the episode is named after. This is like the Rosetta. So that's, you know, there was 3 languages on the Rosetta Stone, 2 of which we knew, and Egyptian hieroglyphics. That's how we were able to decipher and learn how to read hieroglyphics, because of the Rosetta Stone. So, fine. It's a great idea. It's going to be funny when turns out the 10C are not these creatures. That'd be hilarious.
Well, it makes the whole episode
be
a red herring of, do we need to spend the entire episode doing that?
Yeah. Well, that's true, actually.
I mean, there's a twist, though. You're building to a twist, you know?
Mm-hmm. General Grievous, $2. The only thing Jet forgot was Swiper, no swiping. What? Was Swipper? No,
that's an old joke that I know from other things, but I don't know many.
Okay.
It's a scene that happens. Science happens. And now they leave. And then Detmer has a really cringe apology, sort of, that feels super out of place.
If you finish that apology, you're going to bust down the Anson.
Ha 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 ha! Cut. Just
it's okay to be out of control for 5 minutes, man.
Fine, cut.
It's all good.
Just cut the scene. Just don't care. Wasn't well done. Now then, the next conversation is really good, though. The next bit's fantastic with Culber. That's what's worth having here.
Well, we hear maybe the 10C created the hyperfield to protect themselves, so they would never again have to experience that kind of fear and pain. Okay, cool.
I mean, losing your planet and not being able to stop it, yeah.
Which, I think Book's going to play a big part of this, because if the 10C are these whale creatures, he's got that ability to communicate with animals. He's lost his planet. There's going to be some kind of connection there. I think Book's going to be the one that saves the day if these are the 10C.
I mean, they're building up to something, we hope.
Yep. So, but then there's like the conversation of, well, maybe they are aware of what they're doing, and they just don't care. And that's a terrifying concept, honestly.
And Soru says it with some tremendous acting. Give him a lot of credit there. The dread that everyone feels.
Yeah.
Because they say, they feel love, we feel love, we can communicate with an equal level of something. Even if we can't communicate physically, we know emotions resonate the same. So it's great. But you bring it all down to, yes, but the fact is, if these creatures have always seen their planet be destroyed, and now they're thinking, well, we can sacrifice our 47 billion whale population, or, Quejon population 400 and lots of animals. It's like, well, there's not an argument to be made. We'll save our own people. It doesn't need to be It doesn't need to be aggressive. It can be clinical. They saw their planet almost die once. They'll risk it for that chocolate biscuit again. But the acting is great.
Hellrats96 says, in the time of program matter, why does Detmer still need visible nodes on her head? They've been scaled down immensely since she first had them. Same with Non's breathing.
Oh god, yeah.
So yeah.
Well, I mean, why not? They're also sort of Borg techy looking, like very 7 or 9-esque.
Yeah. Anyway, we get back to the ship, find out the Dots found 16 different kinds of these, and so we can use these probably. We're gonna have to analyze them. Again, you don't have a lot of time. You're 2 light years away. It's literally a minute or 2. And then the guy that the president talked to earlier said, but to be fair, I mean, the Rosetta Stone required knowing 2 languages. Because good job. He actually says good job. Little thumbs up, well done. It's kind of cute.
But 11 episodes in, you can't choose a character this late in and have us really, really connect to him. It feels like he's either going to die next week as whatever, or it's Stuart, put a super chat and like goal as we're starting to hit the final stride.
Well, we want to hit 100 likes, so hit that like button, and honestly, $80 would be a good number.
50 at minimum.
It's late. This is 50 minimum for sure. So a couple of 10s and some 5s would be awesome, guys. Close us out.
And I'll finish this poll I asked about an hour ago. It was, what do you think of this episode? The winner by double the previous one, give or take, is Meh, 47%. Liked it, 26%. Didn't like it, 20%. Loved it, 7%. So a whole lot of not high scores, I'm thinking, at the end.
And Burnham says, I'm going to set a course for the 10C immediately. And then the Nagarian president wants to have a date with Saru, and Stamets and Burnham have a moment. we can really do this. We can communicate with them.
Right, new poll going up. Let us know what you think.
Yeah, check out the poll, guys. I'll read it in a second. Because we're at the book being a creeper scene.
Oh. Yeah. But yeah, fine seeing and as set a course. How long do we have? I really wish we had a timer here, because in reality they have a few minutes, even stretching a couple of hours. I kind of wish almost the vibe that Saru and President Gilf was, this is our last meal, sort of vibe. This is our very last 30 minutes left, but it kind of feels like, we've got a couple of days, let's just chill out. There's a slight disconnect of tone there. Especially, more for Saru. She has a bit more intensity in her lack of emotion.
Yeah. So the new poll, guys, go vote on it. Do you think these gas giant whale creatures are actually the 10C? Yes or no? The twist. What a twist. And I do like the scene, though, where Book thanks the general for letting her know that Michael is back on board. And she's just like, you're welcome. Like, good person. She's kind of been adversarial ever since we met her. So it's nice to actually have her kind of be humanized a little bit. So, yeah. I think it was good. Oh, yes, and then the Detmer thing. But a Saucy Puppet Show throws in $5. I was disappointed they didn't check out the Dyson rings. Yes, so was I. Just saying. Then we get to Dira. They go and talk to Detmer, and basically have just a really awkward exchange, which is uncomfortable to watch. No, you can say that every day for the rest of your life. Fly good.
Yeah, I was a bit disconnected for the Book moment, because surely the other guy would have communicated with him, time of the essence, etc. So I was like, well, this is a weird subjunction. And then Detmer being sad and alone, and then Adira being Tilly, was a scene that happened. At least they acknowledge that they haven't ever talked before. Like, this crew isn't friends, they don't know each other really well, Mm-hmm. There isn't this sense of camaraderie. There's just people on the ship. And they don't really, which is why then, them all choosing to chase Burnham into the future makes no sense for the family of the crew. There isn't a family of the crew, Even the new Stargazer, you feel a sense of family, a sense of crew. Detmer doesn't know those people next to her. She doesn't know who those two people are at the table next to her. You know what I mean? You can tell that by the energy of the room. These are just random people. She does not know who they are, besides maybe the second name. The Ensign Lynch. I've never talked to you.
Mm-hmm.
But yes, then we get giving your old native drink. Yay, cute.
Mavi. Yeah.
Yep.
And I wish I could have stayed there a little longer. I wish I would take some time, but I haven't really done that.
I like this in concept, but it shouldn't be in episode 11, when this is the full final big epic point of no return, and we're focusing on this relatively. This should be episode 3 or 6. It's a and certainly epic ending. This is not an epic ending, and leaves very very little tension or build up to the last bit. Because is there a final? What's the sort of thing they then leave us on?
Oh, Jet being a prisoner.
Oh, yeah, okay. Hostage. Well, okay, so yeah, Burnham and Thing talk, fine. They show at Warp, a nice shot of the ship at Warp, though. I'll give them credit for that, looks nice.
You see Book's ship there attached to it.
Yep. Barely fits in the shuttle bay, because you can see, although it does move, it just shifts a bit. I'll delve back to the Warp problem in a second. We'll do the final scene.
Nothing like coming home to an unexpected hostage, am I right?
And boy, I don't understand Thingy's reaction. He's like... He's so, non-connected to what he's doing. It's strange. Because why wouldn't you keep her stunned? Don't let a genius engineer be awake. Knock her out. Drugs. Phaser. Why would you keep her awake? for the scene, I guess, but I don't know. It's weird.
Yeah.
But the last problem with the first scene, is that, yes, they're 2 light years away from the 10C, which means it's several minutes at warp at most.
Not maximum warp, yeah.
Yeah, which is why the fact is they're choosing to take hours, hours to get there, wasting their last few minutes. I'm pretty sure the Earth person would not like that, because otherwise it would be so quick. So I get they're trying to maybe find the pheromone thing, but don't be at warp then, because they can detect warp signatures stand out more than static signatures. If you want to be stealthy, this is not a way to do it. Don't bother being at warp then. What's more annoying, being at warp 9 taking 2 minutes, or being at warp 2 and taking 3 days? But we can get there faster. So all these conversations feel so empty because you're choosing not to finish the story. You're literally padding out the time you have by going slow. Literally.
Yeah.
Very strange.
George Mangrum, $10. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Didn't Pike once tell Detmer to fly good? Would have been nice for Detmer to say Pike told you that once. Yeah, I just started watching season 2 again, and the first episode, he gives orders to everybody, and he's like, Detmer, fly good. Because that was like the last order he was giving. So it sounded great coming from him, and I get the awkwardness of Adira saying it. So
didn't remember that. That's good though. I mean, yay.
Yeah.
Huh.
But yeah, something should have been said at that point, because you're right. And I just watched that. I should have put 2 and 2 together, but it took your super chat to do it. So thank you.
See,
super chats are important.
There you go.
2 more likes to get to 100, guys. And yeah.
And Talon says, sorry if you mentioned it already, which we sort of have in passing, but why does none of the crew ever wonder how a planet can get wiped out by rocks if the civilization create Dyson rings and Dyson and multispectral things? Why can't they have a shield? Yeah, it's a very, and it was already we would assume it would be somewhat degassed at that point. I kind of got the impetus that when the rocks hit, it made the gases like dissipate, because gas giants don't just dissipate, I would assume, because they're millions of years old things that just rocks, and not even like massive rocks. We didn't even get a sense like a big flyover. There were hundreds of miles deep craters. I assume it was like several different dinosaur sized rocks. Like dinosaur.
No, you saw a graphic, and there's like at least 30 or so on the surface of this thing from that one area we saw. And if it's a gas giant sized core, that's a lot.
Okay. See, those things were so minimal, they just didn't even leave any impression on me watching it. We should have had a big flyover, like massive chasms of rocks, like this is destruction level, but you just don't get that sense. You get the sense of, I mean, it's been 1,000 years, fine. Everything's kind of resettled, that's fine, right? Okay, I can see that everything's kind of flat again, everything's fine. There's one building left, but there's nothing there to pull from. Oi. So strange.
George Mangrum's, oh no, sorry. Which was the one I want to read here? Oh yes, Tezangari says 2 light years at warp 9 would take about 11.5 hours.
That doesn't sound right at all.
1,500 feet.
That doesn't sound right at all.
Doc McGillicuddy, $2. 10C is a prison. Yeah, the hyperfield might be a prison to keep them in. Yeah. But while you're looking that up, right now is the time where you guys get to super chat your scores in. I'll read them after we give our scores. And if you don't want to super chat your score, you just put it in regular chat. Samuel will read those when we're done. But this is kind of the closeout now. We have 104 likes. I want to get to 120 now at this point. And honestly, still another $50 would be awesome if possible. So if you can do, please do. And yeah, anything you want us to talk about, any theories you might have, such as 10C being a prison, as Dr. McGillicuddy put in, we can do that with super chat. So if you want to, please do. There wasn't much to talk about in this episode, which is quite obvious.
Okay, so 5 light years at warp 9. TNG scales 1 day. So it's under half that. So under half 1 day at warp 9. And if they can go,
which is 11.5, under 12 hours, up for half a, yeah.
But warp 9.9999 or warp 9.99 is 6 hours for 5 light years, which is 2 hours something. And they can go much faster than that. It's the 30th
yeah, you got to think.
Century.
In Tezengar, you got to remember, it's warp 9, but warp 9.975 or even warp 9.75 is exponentially faster. The end of that warp scale does that.
Well, again, it says warp 9.99 is 6 hours for 5 light years. Warp 9.9999, so 2 more 9s, is 13 minutes. So if they can achieve warp 9.9999, it'll be like 5 minutes. Which
this is 900-year-old advance, or 900-year advanced warp.
I have no doubt they can achieve faster than that. No doubt whatsoever. Yeah. So it should be minutes. And if they're choosing to travel at warp 9, then they're going slow. Yeah. Because there's a reason why you get I mean, like the Voth drives, they can go light years in seconds, and they were just back then, etc. So Stuart, they're at the point of the episode where you guys put in your super chat scores for.
I already said that.
Okie dokie, I was reading the graph. Thank you, Stuart. So
I did the whole thing while you were doing that.
So what are your closing thoughts then on this episode, and have you changed your mind at all, even slightly, given our full detailed thought breakdown review? Because we do tend to go through more than most.
No, I just noticed Burnham touching the blue stuff finally.
Well, that's good.
But like you said, a lot of stuff is glazed over really quick in this episode, and it's just it's a nothing episode. Again, this could have been 10-15 minutes plot in a full TNG episode, and then still face off against the big baddies at the end. You know what I mean? Like, there's just nothing here. The Tarka book stuff was the best for me. It was, getting on the ship without being detected, getting the thing done. Books, like you said, books dialogue with General Naoda, whatever her name is, was the best written thing in this episode. And I like that, the whole interaction there, and even incorporating Jet into it, like kind of having to kidnap her so she doesn't say anything, that was the best part of the episode for me, which is, I think, weird, honestly. But there's so many missed opportunities here. They could have experienced different emotions and had much more of a situation to solve on the planet. They should have sent Discovery to investigate those Dyson rings while they were there, because that is actually technology and not just a reinforced stone nursery. Anyway, there's a lot of missed opportunities, unfortunately. I don't care about the Detmer stuff. Like, it's a weird place to put it in this episode as well as this late in the season. But the Culber stuff, he's stressed out because he's dealing with everybody else's problems. But again, I'm trying to think of anything else. Seeing Jet Reno was back was nice, but she really wasn't in it for very much. I think the total amount of time was like a minute and a half. But still good to see her.
I do think, though, and you'll probably agree with this, if this had been episode 4, would be a much higher score.
Yes, absolutely.
Cool.
100%. Anything else? No. The president and the linguistics guy was also pretty good, but it was very small. Didn't really need to happen. The Saru thing, There's just nothing here, really, unfortunately. So anyway, on that note, for this season, 7.2 comes to mind.
Okay.
It's still Star Trek-y enough, I guess. For all of Discovery, it's going to have to be higher. 7.9. I don't know how that stacks up against the last few episodes because I can't remember how I score stuff. So
surprisingly consistent, Stuart. Good job.
Okay, good.
Good job.
How about you? What did you think of this one? Is it better going through it with me on the live?
I mean, it's probably more enjoyable than watching the episode.
Oh man, that's awesome.
But just because we have a nice chat about it, it's not very dense despite being a gas giant. Yeah, it's super simple. It should have been way earlier in the season. It's solidly okay. And again, they make very few sort of mistakes and problems. It's not even forgettable because in theory this is a cool situation. And I'll probably remember the time they got high on ancient space whale dust. Like, cool, right? But you say, what else happens this episode? Everything else will be a blur of nothing, right? The concept will survive. Nothing else will make it. And for a season that came off season 3, pandemic, yes, I get it. Limited constraints. But with the LED wall technology being used not very well this episode, and coming off season 3 with the potential, this is letting the show down. And season 3 is looking better and better in comparison. A lot of people said season 4 was better. Who the hell thinks season 3 is worse than season 4 now? 11 episodes
we
in.
We thought season 4 was pretty good when it first started, though.
That's what I mean. But by now, season 3 is way better than season 4. Not even close at this point, with the amount of dull. Season 3 is really compelling in comparison. Hopefully, Sean from Trekyards will agree when he comes back on. Like, come on, the scales have clearly turned back in the season 3 direction, which has strong middle, strong end, strong start. Compelling stuff. This is fine. It's better than it's better than the casino one. Yes. What happened last week? Do I even remember? They got through the barrier. That's the entire plot. What else happened? Did anything else happen? Probably.
I'm trying to think what Tarka and Book were doing.
The find the stuff in his planet, the prison.
Oh yeah, we've learned about Oros, his buddy.
I think these episodes were equally okay. I don't honestly think they're any different in quality. They're both not good in lots of ways. They're both okay in lots of ways. I'm going to give that also a 6. I just can't justify any higher. All of Discovery. So the problem is, like I say, season 3 is just better. In season 2 is more enjoyable. These episodes are now dipping below season 2 quality in terms of like overall Discovery. That bar of quality is just not very interesting. Oh God. $6.1. There you go.
Okay.
I'm underwhelmed.
Let's see super chatties here. There's no scores, super chat scores, but that's okay. John Gordon, $5. Burnham herself will figure out the different element for the 10C to mine that doesn't hurt any season. Yes.
Hold on, Stuart.
Far superior.
Sorry, Stuart. No, you disappeared. They super chatted for a. Start again. Sorry. They want to hear it.
They didn't hear any of me reading the super chat.
All lost. Sorry. Try again.
Okay. Don't believe you for a second. There's nothing changed on my end. But anyway, John Gordon throws in $5. Burnham herself will figure out a different element for 10C to mine that doesn't hurt anyone to end this season. Yes, she will figure something out that the 10C, who are superiorly more advanced and have been for thousands of years, she'll figure something out that they can mine to get the power source, if that's the case. And she will save the day because it's Burnham. I agree. And General Grievous puts in $2 and says, "What's with the phallic phaser?" Well, all weapons are phallic. Let's be fair. Swords, guns.
Especially
firearms. Yeah, especially firearms because they eject a projectile.
They ejaculate.
All weapons are phallic, just for the record.
Ejaculate. Yeah. So, don't subject scores, guys. Put your scores right now. Please put in some scores. But I'll finish the poll now. I asked, do you think these gas giant world creatures are actually the 10C? Stonking 69% nope. 1% yep. And if you can get $8, that would be lovely. We're not even close to our minimum, but clear Discoveries hasn't got the interest as it may have had. But whatever, Picard does. It's all good. But $9, $8. But the 10C, yeah, I had no point thought in the episode it was going to be not them because it's 100% committed to this, the 10C, right? But as Susie said in our review, it doesn't make any sense. There's no tech, whatever. I was like, that's better. That is just fundamentally a better plot line. If they appear, they find the 10C, where's the audience thinking, space whales, turns out they're humanoids with prosthetics on their face, like every species ever. And they say, but what about that planet 2 lights away? Oh yes, we bombed the shit out of them for gas. What? Yes, we hated them. I was like, oh shit. And they're so advanced they can talk to us no problem. And turns out, yeah, not even close, and you can't pull the same. It's a twist. It's a really good twist. they have to be equally cool, like equally or betterly cool by that value, because you undermine this entire episode. But yeah, I love that as an idea. It was good.
Doc McGillicuddy puts in $1 for that last super chat. Snipe. We still need. Oh, here it comes. Here's the one came in. Awesome. Another $5 would be good on top of this, but we got $10 from Matt Boardman. Will $10 do? Snipe. It feels like love.
Oh, yes. Those space drugs.
Hippy dippy and just enjoy the love.
Yes. Yes. So, non-super chat scores are in. We have 3 out of 10, 6 out of 10, 4.5 out of 10, Aussie 9.999999987. I think he's joking. 3 out of 10, 7 out of 10, but only for bananas. 3 out of 10, 3 out of 10, 4.6 out of 10, 3 out of 10, 4 out of 10, 9 out of 10, 5 out of 10. Wow, we gave better scores, Stuart. That never happens than the chat.
Mm.
The thing is, guys, we have to be consistent with our own personal scores, because the last two have been not good, and the one that was bad. The lowest we've given this season, you gave it 3.5, I gave it 4.5, and that was definitely worse than this one.
Yeah.
So it's like, well, it can't be that low because that's that low, and those we just didn't like. That's fine. Like, it's fine. It's better than dislike. You know.
And Dave says, I'd forgotten that Burnham's science specialty was xenobiology. Well, she mentions that in her opening captain's log. Even as a xenobiologist, this is a difficult problem.
Yeah, they remind you. Well, she also mentioned like 3 episodes ago as well. So they did put it back in our brains, but she never used it really, so... Yeah.
Yeah. Doc McGillicuddy, $2 with a snipe, LOL. An LOL snipe. Wow, Matt, you just got sniped in the head and he laughed at you.
Oh, no.
Damn. Listen, Jericho, 1.5 out of 10. Wow. There were a couple of 8 or 9 point minutes, but most were 6 to 5, 6.5. Yeah. Captain Chili Bina, $20. Awesome, thank you.
That helps a lot.
Yeah, it does. We're actually only $7 away now from our minimum.
Yeah. Not really minimum, but we can say it's a minimum, but not be an upset minimum. Yes.
Yeah. I haven't been to a live in a while, but enjoying them after the fact. Here's some belated support. Thanks for keeping strong with the content and opinions. So excited for the rest of Trekyards. Yeah, absolutely.
And there's plenty more videos to come this week about that. There's literally more videos, and there are days to release them.
Which means when there's a slow week where Picard is back in time and we have no ships or anything to talk about, we'll still have content coming out your way. So make sure you're subscribed and notified. You know the routine. And
it's ship-based. I mean, you cannot get more Trekyardsian. And unlike season 1 of Discovery, where the entire fleet...
I thought you were going to say, unlike season 1 of Picard, which was shit-based, this stuff is ship-based.
No. No. I said... Unlike season 1 of Discovery, where they had so many ships in the first episode, but we didn't know what they looked like. Like, we didn't get clear views for a very long time. So we couldn't... Okay, this pixels. Fantastic. An A concept view. In this, we have really great views, thanks to David Blass and the team. Really, really coming out and sharing the love for the fans. And, if you want to see what the Excelsior 2 looks like, you will see it here. Not first, because... There's so many things to look at, but you will see it here.
Premier Miller throws in $5.
Thank you.
I think this was a decent episode that suffers from being too close to the finale.
He released more good shit. God damn it.
If this story was 3 or 4 episodes ago, it would have been received better. Yeah, we said that at the beginning.
Yep.
We totally agree. Yeah. General Grievous, $2. A C- out of 10C. 6 out of 10 for me. Oh, that rhymed. That was awesome. Good job, General Grievous. Captain Chili Bina, $20. Awesome. Thank you so much. Some hope reaching your actual minimum. Love you guys. Thank you so much, Captain Chili Bina. Dave puts in £2. Dave Blast's Twitter post felt like reverse trolling. Yeah. As Samuel said, he compared it to Christmas morning. Because it was just so much goodness.
Very much so. So he did just release, because he's the lead guy, he just released all of the blue plaques, what they were, what they looked like, both concept shots and final shots.
Oh, brilliant! I love him.
So, bloody hell, including all the text, a live version, and a close up of all of them in whatever. You can't necessarily read them all, but they do exist. What a guy! Bloody hell. Saving
they really
those.
want to bring people back for Picard because
That's a lot of people.
The worst of the new tracks.
Wow.
Until the season, so
I'm happy to report that this lineup on that selection was the Phoenix, the Constellation, looking like original Connie, the Reliant, the Excelsior, the Stargazer, the Leonardrescence, which is the Enterprise E looking warp test ship that was retconned back in, the Enterprise D, and the Voyager. There was also a concept version apparently that I'm looking at here, which was a Enterprise JJ Prize, Discovery Prize, which didn't make it in, I guess. Good, because is not included in that lineup. However, the original Constitution class was called Constellation, so they did not include that. So they managed to avoid a JJ Discovery Enterprise. So yeah, that's pretty specific.
But season 1 had the Discovery Enterprise.
It did.
It's like, ugh. Ugh. Well, good job.
Oh my god! Oh wow! Didn't realize this. Dave sent me a friend request on Facebook. Huh.
Nice.
I was like, should I add him as a friend? He might not know who I am properly. Oh, he sent me a friend request.
Oh, yeah, he messaged me on Twitter like a few days ago, and so.
Damn. I mean, we do this sort of stuff, but new contacts, etc. You always try and. I assume he's too busy right now.
He's not though. I think they're done. I think they're just wrapping up filming for season 3, aren't they?
It's this week, yeah. This week or into next week they start off, yeah. And also, in his job as well, it's like if you're a production designer,
you're done.
The production design's finished.
Yeah.
God, what a like I joked to Matt Boardman that he just released all of the schematic views for the new turbo lift.
Nice.
It's like, well, holy shit, let's make that. That's the stuff you want to see. So I'm really crossing fingers he releases this stuff for the bridge, because if he releases schematics, that's.
We gotta get him on the show soon to talk about it.
Yeah. It's as if he was a fan, and then he said, "What do fans want?" Well, I'm the guy who decides when stuff goes out, and they can't. I'm already off the show. Release everything! Release everything!
That slipped the dogs of war.
Yes. What are they gonna do? Fire me? I'm already off the show now. I've done my Star Trek. Crazy. Crazy. Now I will be honest, guys. We're $20 away from our actual minimum. Don't expect to reach it. We'll go another 1 or 2 minutes. But I'm just saying. But the final result for the poll was: do you think the tendency are actually the Wells? 72% no. So they did not trick you, audience. They have not tricked you. Maybe. Yeah. So yeah, fun stuff. And like I say, of course, tune in for more Picard stuff. I'm assuming the bridge will come out tomorrow, because that's the next most meaty episode. And we have a plethora of other videos coming out. It's kind of like pick and choose what to come out, honestly. There's so much good stuff. And I'm in the process, it'll be a little bit of a longer process, and obviously I have little time when everything's needed. I'm going to want to work out all the Star Trek Online ships seen in the episode, so we can look at those in depth as well, because those are now fully canon ships. And thrilled to say that the Zhen He has been retconned from the Inquiry class, I should say, from the appalling Season 1 model to Tobias Richter's redesigned custom season Star Trek Online model. Okay, it's so far distance, you can't tell, but the behind-the-scenes pictures have been released, which show his version, which actually has all the details, and so we can look at that formally as this is canon. And we never really looked at that ship in much detail because it, besides being like, oh dear. So that'll be exciting to kind of do that properly. And Stowe canon is now canon, as in some of that stuff. So that is awesome. I like it.
Listen, Jericho, another interview Trekyards will never release.
Well, if they keep making new things for us to talk about, we can need what's the show after Picard?
Ready room.
Ready room? What? No, they need Strange New Worlds to be light on details so I have more time.
That's not going to happen.
No. I'm still trying to get that Prodigy.
If only we had people that would want to be able to edit our videos.
I told you to get... Yeah, I told you. You know, get me some reliable...
And, somebody's talking to you about it. So... Anywho, moving on. All right, guys. I don't think we're going to get that last 20, but that's...
But we got close.
Right.
And that's impressive, considering.
I guess we'll call it there.
Yeah. So yeah,
that was an episode.
It was. It was an episode, and this was an episode too. You and me reviewing Trek as well. Yeah. And of course, tune in for tomorrow's live. I'm sure we'll be on this. And I might try and get Sean from Trek Culture on this week to talk. We haven't talked to him yet, but because everything. But if we can, maybe. And if not, you'll see us talk about probably some ship lives this week, which is kind of refreshing to get to do, and kind of geek out on that. So yeah.
All right, guys. Well, thank you so much for watching. Until next time, he is Commander Cocking.
He is Captain Foley.
I am.